Welcome back, theorists. In our previous exchange, we discussed technologies that make up the metaverse. Now let's dive into what role the metaverse will play in our everyday lives. When trying to draw comparisons to abstract topics, it's easiest to relate them to something we already know. In the case of the metaverse, many people see images of a virtual world like Tron, Ready Player One, or The Matrix. Although in the early stages, it won't be quite that immersive. I think it may be the end goal. Many people believe that the metaverse is the evolution of the internet, and that it will just give us a higher fidelity means of interacting with each other. Similar to the progression of the PC to the laptop, then smartphones, and now wearable devices. Now, when positioned as the next progression of the internet, it doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, I think like the internet, there isn't a good or bad. Like most things, it falls into a gray space, and ultimately, its net positive will be based upon its user base. We've seen the vitriol that has proliferated in online forums like 4chan, in social media platforms, or even on gaming platforms. We've even seen the real-world effects that divisive echo chambers can have on society. And this is just with the posting of video, text, and photo. With a more immersive means of interaction, it may be even more difficult for the undiscerning and critical of us to weed out fact from fiction, and to curate and moderate the content we consume and the interactions we engage in. Conversely, we live in a time with the world's knowledge a click away, lowering the barrier of entry for learning a skill, creating a business, or making something completely new. People will form relationships with those of diverse backgrounds otherwise they may have never encountered locally, or even reunited with family and friends with who they thought were to be lost. The metaverse will amplify all these experiences and interactions in a virtual space to mimic physical reality. Let's imagine waking up, putting on your VR headset and spatial audio headphones as you prepare for your work meeting in your virtual boardroom. Similar to Google Meet, you have your colleagues in attendance, but instead of looking at them in their video feed squares, you have their avatar sitting in the room, like they would be in the office. People are presenting on a virtual whiteboard in which content is interchangeable since you're already in a virtual world. People communicate and speak freely, as if they were in the office, as each avatar shows head and mouth movement as they speak. This type of experience is surely an upgrade from what we see currently in many work-from-home situations, where often there aren't any camera feeds, and when there are, the experience seems siloed. Continuing through your day, you have lunch, then throw on your VR headset and continue work. But now you're coding on a panoramic display which is much wider than your monitor. You then view a mock-up of a product your team is working on in a virtual room, as it has been designed with a 3D render engine to scale, displaying how it will translate to the final physical product. After work, you leave the virtual office and go to a virtual lobby of lo-fi fans. Similar to a subreddit on the topic, there are people discussing their favorite songs, but instead of just seeing usernames, you can go up to the person's avatar and hold a verbal conversation, while still hearing music in the background in the lobby. As you end your day, you decide to watch a movie in the VR cinema. Since your headset covers your field of view, when watching a movie in the cinema, the scale of the screen is similar to that of a physical 40-foot widescreen. As you take a seat, a few friends from around the world join in and watch the movie with you. This is what's possible in the metaverse, breaking down physical barriers with technology, bringing people together, where otherwise distance and other obstacles may not have allowed for this. With experiences so powerful and immersive, it begs the question, who will control or oversee the metaverse? These conversations are currently being had now, as companies are trying to better define the metaverse in all of its use cases. Like the internet, there won't be just one site, there will be a host of platforms. Currently, we see major companies like Meta and Microsoft putting forth major efforts to stake their claim in the space. In order for the idea of the metaverse to work, though, it'll take widespread adoption, which means entities involved in creating their vision of the metaverse will have to ensure that there is a level of cross-platform compatibility. Well, if large corporations will control the metaverse, what sense of free agency do we have over ourselves there? And is this something we even want to be a part of if we don't own it? That's tricky, because in the current state of the internet, we see that our data isn't really ours, as the controversy of privacy and anonymity is at a fever pitch. And with advertisers wanting to expand in every space, the same problems we experience now are bound to carry over without proper oversight and standards implemented. But among big whales, there is always a place for smaller fish to feed. Like with the current digital economy, where people have e-commerce sites or pages where they sell goods on Instagram or sell items on Facebook Marketplace, the metaverse will offer a new digital economy where creators can sell digital avatar mock-ups, clothes, or design digital homes. But there's still something that needs to be addressed before we get mesmerized with the allure of this new digital space. And that's the effects it'll have on our health. With mental health issues skyrocketing, and although we can't draw a correlation between the use of social media to the problems we see now, I do believe it plays a role, and it's been a catalyst. Some would argue we already live in a metaverse, where someone's social standing isn't based upon their real-world actions and character traits, but more about how many followers they have on a social media or the influence they have digitally. If that's the case, the metaverse will exacerbate these perceptions, which we've seen have had negative effects on teenagers' mental health directly. With any technology, it's important to set personal boundaries. Even if you're not sold on all of this, the internet and its accompanying technologies will evolve, and we must be able to think critically and curate the content we consume, as well as set parameters over the time we spend on our devices, and ultimately be able to separate digital from physical reality. Personally, I'm cautiously optimistic about the metaverse. From a technological standpoint, it will offer new experiences that were not possible or even conceivable a few years ago. Although a wide lens will be needed to see the effects it will have on society. I guess that will be up for us to see how it unfolds. Until next time, this is Theory signing out. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it.